Would my idea be better as a book or a short story? First of all, this is a great question. It's one that I have to think of all the time. Unlike what a lot of people say on the internet, writing a book and a short story are very different processes. The same idea can turn into a very different book or short story. And a lot of times when you first come up with an idea, it can be really confusing to decide whether it would be better as a short story or a book. Unfortunately, this is not a very simple question to answer. What I have done is identify a few key traits of each to make the decision process easier. Before I get into that, please leave a like in this video. It really helps me with the YouTube algorithm. First, we're going to start with a novel. Typically, a novel is considered anything over 40,000 words. Getting more into what makes a novel, if your idea has a lot of aspects of world building, you'll probably want to stick with a novel. The larger word count gives you as a writer more of an opportunity to explore that world. That doesn't mean a short story won't have world building, it just won't be to the detail and extent that it would be in a novel. Next, if your story idea requires multiple point of views to tell it or has a large cast, then a novel is probably the better choice. That's because a novel allows you more words to explore multiple characters. Another key feature of novels is subplots. So if your story idea includes a main quest and like a side love quest, then it's probably a novel. And finally, if your idea constantly seems to be growing and evolving in your mind, then the chances are it's a novel. Now here's some characteristics that tell me my idea is a short story. First of all, a short story is normally between 1,000 and 7,000 words. The word count gap between a typical short story and a novel is pretty large. If your word count falls between the two, then you have a novella on your hands. A novella is kind of a mix between a novel and a short story. I don't want to get too much into it, but if that's something you want to see in the future, let me know in the comments. One key feature of a typical short story is it's centered around one theme or focus. There's typically one main problem that the protagonist has to face. And that's really different from a novel where the protagonist is going to encounter many obstacles. Typically, a short story is also only going to include 1 to 3 scenes. A good sign that you have a short story on your hands is if you're really struggling to come up with scenes that happen before your story's climax. A short story will also have more simple character development where a character learns a single lesson. Or doesn't learn a lesson for that matter. And speaking of characters, the cast of a short story is typically small and there's normally only one point of view character. Now the thing is, a lot of short stories and novels don't fit perfectly into these molds. Try to take time to reflect on your story idea and how you want to tell it. When I'm really unsure, I'll start with a short story and then I'll ask myself if there's more story to tell. You can also try to outline the novel version and see if you have enough story to tell. At the end of the day, as the writer, you are in full control. And remember, your story does not have to fit these guidelines. My ultimate piece of advice here is to write your story in the way that feels natural. Don't even think about the word count. I think a lot of writers run into trouble when they try to add or delete scenes to try to fit their story into a certain mold. I really hope this video helped you in some way, and if you're still confused, be sure to leave a comment. I'll be sure to get back to you. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for more content like this. If you're still here, thanks for watching. Good luck with your story.